David Ham and his wife Julia are running 7,000 superfine Merinos on 800 hectares near Auburn Creek in New South Wales, right next door to some really rough country that is a home and harbour to just about every feral you can think of. Now, they've fenced this off in particularly rough country. They're using innovative fencing techniques, and they're using tricks and tips that you could use in rough country as well. Let's go and talk to David and find out just how much difference a simple fence can make to your whole operation. G'day Dave, how you going, mate?
G'day Tim, it's good to see you. Yeah.
Mate, it's fantastic to be out here, thank you very much. You're having some great success with a pretty high-tech fence in some pretty rough country.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
I'm interested to see how the performance of the fence is affecting your operation, but I'm also very keen to see how you manage a high-tech fence in such rough country as well. And you've got a few tips on post orientations and all sorts of things and earth. So let's get into it, mate. Let's have a look at the fence and find out what it's all about.
Okay, let's go.
This is a pretty high-tech fence here, mate.
Yeah, I'm going to show you something that's pretty clever. So this is the fence tester and fault finder from Gallagher. And when I hold it up there, up she lights, and we've got 4 amps, which is good, that's low, but we've got 10,000 volts. And
yes, so low resistance and high voltage.
Yep, no leakage there at all. But the really cool thing about this is that I can turn it off by pressing that button, and now it's dead. And 10,000 volts there a second ago. Excuse me if I'm slightly hesitant to put my hand on it.
I'm not going anywhere near it, mate.
This wire here is a special wire. It's the high conductivity wire, so it would belt me from here to kingdom come if it was charged up.
So this is really good because you've got a large property, and having to go back to the energiser to turn the fence off to fix it is a real problem, but you can turn this off from anywhere on the fence.
I could have a problem. I could have, I don't know, a short or bit of wire or something got tangled up in it, and I can fix the problem, and then I can turn it off, fix the problem, turn it back on without driving 5 kilometres to the energiser.
Now tell me a little bit more about this fence, mate. How many lines is it? How many are hot? How many are earth?
This is 10 plain wires. Yep. 5 of them are hot and 5 of them are earth wires. And the earth return goes right back to the energiser, and it has the Gallagher earth posts or in the ground, and that part of it is really important. So it doesn't matter whether it's the middle of summer and dry as a chip or wet as a shag, we're still going to have full voltage in this fence.
Yeah, because a lot of people will put the earths near where their energiser is,
yep,
and then they'll have a long fence, and it come dry whether the performance of the fence goes down. But by hooking your cold wires or your earth wires back to the energiser, yep, you don't have that problem.
No, that's, yeah, right. And that's really important. Yeah.
So tip number 1, earth return.
Earth, absolutely.
Very important.
Yep.
Tip number 2, have plenty of earths at the energiser as well.
Yes.
You use super earth kits, is that right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Right. I followed the book.
You actually read the instructions?
I read the instructions, yeah.
If you're going to have a high-tech fence, I suppose you better.
Well, you know, you want it to work.
Yeah.
You don't want to cut yourself off and do a shortcut and then have it ineffective.
Now this is a fairly tall fence as well.
Yep.
It's 1,600 high. You've had to use longer steel posts, but you don't use as many of them.
No, there's only one every 10 metres or so.
Because you've got everything here, haven't you, Dave?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
And it's all living straight over there.
Well, we've got pigs and over here, and we've got wild deer, and we've had dogs, particularly after the fires, and we've also had a few feral horses.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So the whole gamut.
Yeah, well, I don't want any of them.
No, absolutely. Yeah. How much trouble with pigs did you have before you put this fence in?
They were buggers, and they're getting worse every year. And the final winter before I built the fence, I trapped 76 pigs. And
yeah, right.
Yeah, and it was just a very time-consuming thing to be doing, was setting traps and catching them all the time. And I'm really glad that I haven't had a pig since.
Not one?
Not one in 5 years.
That's pretty astounding.
It's quite extraordinary, yeah.
And it's stopping the deer and it's stopping the roos.
Yep.
Now, people might think it's cruel to stop kangaroos from traversing across the countryside, but you've got improved pastures here, you're putting down fertiliser, you're going to increase their breeding rates and make it even harder on them when the hard times hit, aren't you?
But it's a lot crueler probably to be shooting them, and if I can keep them out in the native bush country, surely that's a much better solution.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Rather than letting them breed up on your own.
Yeah.
All right, mate, so I'm interested in some tips today. You've put this fence up on really heavy country and you're making it work. We've already talked about the importance of earth and we've talked about the number of wires and the height of it, but there's a few things that you're doing with the posts that maybe some Australians might need to get used to. You actually spend a bit of time in New Zealand.
Yeah, I did work in New Zealand many years ago, and great experience there. One of the things I learned about fencing in New Zealand, it's common practice to put the posts in perpendicular to the land surface, and that maximises the height of your fence, and it's a no-brainer really. And when you get to your strainers, you can swing the gates and they're parallel to the land surface, and it's easy. You're not trying to chock them up with blocks and goodness knows what. And so I always do that. This piece of fence here has been built by a contractor, and you can see the posts are more vertical, but we'll let him get away with it. But the stuff that I've actually done myself, I've put the posts in perpendicular.
Right, well let's go and have a look at the difference between a vertical post and a perpendicular post in heavy country.
Yeah.
All right, Dave has very generously allowed me to do this shot on my own because it's steep, isn't it? Have a look at the difference here between a post that's been put in to be perpendicular to the ground and a post that's been put in with a spirit level to be vertical. Look at the height difference. In steep country, when you follow the country with your post, you get a higher fence. Higher fences work better, especially, as we've been saying all day, when there's bucket loads of power in them. All right, I'm going to go and find Dave. Wish me luck. Now, it's not often that you see one of these flash new fences put up with the old fence still right behind it. Your neighbour wasn't too keen on having this fence bounding their property, so you kept the original fence in place and came a foot in.
That's right.
And this is giving a great opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's worked very well, and this is a good example. So here's an old kangaroo hole.
Just straight through here.
Yep, just in there, you can see. And you can see animals have been scratching around on that side. They've come in here, they might have touched their nose on the hot wire and they've backed off. So there's no wear and tear on this side, it's all on that side. Yeah.
Your grass is not showing any tracks at all through it, is it?
No. And that's common, yeah.
That's all the way along this fence.
Yeah. So, look, I originally thought we'd just pull the old fence down and build this fence, but neighbour didn't want to be part of it, so I just built the fence because it's worth it to me to have that biosecurity.
100%.
Absolutely.
You've got to keep your sheep on your property and their sheep on theirs.
Exactly, yeah.
So the power down low, just inside the old fence, is keeping them inside the old fence. People might wonder, well, what if they just add one single hot wire on to their existing fence? But just up here are the remnants of an early experiment that you tried doing exactly that.
Yeah, so I ran a single hot wire around this many years ago.
Yep.
And essentially it didn't work because the kangaroos, I think, just shorted it out continuously. Okay. And it didn't have an earth return, which I think added to the problem. Obviously there's a lot more work in constructing a fence like this, but it works. And a fence that doesn't work is the most expensive fence of the lot. Now,
we keep talking about the kangaroos going under the fence. People might be surprised, but the majority of kangaroos go under the fence.
Definitely.
This high fence is really just keeping the last 10% out, isn't it?
Well, I think they're lazy. I think they just avoid jumping high if they can.
Well, they're an Australian animal.
Yeah. And so, look, 90% of kangaroos will go under a fence. They won't jump over the top of it. And this is very effective at that. And if you do get a big old, buck kangaroo, is 6.5 feet tall, and he probably could jump over this if he took a running jump at it.
Yep.
But he won't. He'll back off.
Yeah. And he's going to want to stay with his mob too, isn't he?
Yeah, no. And they learn very quickly that this is hot and it hurts.
Well, Dave, thank you very much for taking us through the fence that's working for you, what it's made of, how it's constructed, the choices that you've made in different parts of your property, and also some great tips for keeping it going. There's one last tip left, isn't there? And that is spray under your fence line.
Yeah, the spraying's good. And particularly, we had a problem with Patterson's curse up on top of the ridge because it's big, broad, leafy thing, and it was dropping the current down a bit.
Yep.
So I sprayed it out, and it didn't take long. It took my workmen about 2 hours to spray out 5.5 kilometres of fence with a quad bike.
So 2 hours once or twice a year, preventative maintenance solves a whole heap of problems with your fence.
Yep.
And stops animals from wrecking
If you do it early spring, you'll only need doing once. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to all be shiny and new. You've even recycled some
Yeah,
materials.
we reused a lot of old posts that I'd had, and they're fine. So.
And you've saved money on this fence over a normal one?
Oh, this is significantly cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And you're preserving your grass for the animal it's intended for, your sheep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thanks very much for having us out here, mate. I really appreciate the time
It's a pleasure,
with you.
Tim.
You're a gentleman, and hopefully we'll see you on the channel again.
No worries. Bye-bye.
Guys, send this video to someone who's being hammered by ferals and needs to get more out of their production for less. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget, hit the little subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and there's channel memberships and more. Just check out the links in the description. It's all down there.